And a trap is defined, King Mice, as a program or system designed to entice and entangle you, but secretly for the benefit of another, right? So we're gonna talk about how these systems entice, wrap us in, entangle us, but it's secretly for the benefit of the system, right? The programs, corporations, etc. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drive it to the trap, and we're gonna talk about who King Mysonne is today. And then we're gonna back that thing up, reverse engineer, and talk about where you started and your journey moving forward. So this is the alley-oop. I know you humble, you don't do too much flexing, although you do major work. But I'm gonna push you in this to talk your talk about who you are today, what you've done to date, and what's your vision moving forward, mission moving forward.
Well, today I am a artist and an activist.
Okay.
/ civil rights activist, leader.
Certainly a leader.
Co-founder of the organization Until Freedom. I'm founder of Raising Kings, founder of Initiative of Boycott Black Murder, Kings Stop Killing Kings. So, today I utilize, which we will get into, my past, my experience, just everything that I've been through, to try to pay it forward, try to change the narrative, because I realized in my past, there was a narrative that was given to me. There was something that was sold to me that I brought. And it made me make a lot of mistakes. It put me in positions that I could have avoided had I just had somebody like myself. Unfortunately, my father passed when I was young, so, I didn't have the same level of guidance that I would want. And the people who were influencing me were influenced by the same thing that I was influenced by. So even though they were good people, honorable people, they just found out how to do the wrong things right.
Wow.
So
did the wrong things really good.
The wrong things really good, and they taught me how to do those things. So to here today, understanding, where I've come from, understanding if I had the same knowledge with the same drive and the same skill set, the same everything that I have, where I could have been, what I should have been doing, what I could have been doing with that same energy. So now today, the organizations I found, basically just being just against injustice is one of my major things. I've always found myself to be like the bully meter. You know what I'm saying? Right. I was in cool school, always took up for the kids who was getting bullied. So the civil rights work that I do, fighting against injustices, cases like Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Eric Gardner, countless cases, I find myself wanting to get justice for them. Feeling like it's my duty to, feeling like really just embracing it and taking it on, the responsibility to see that these people who lost their lives, didn't lose it in vain, that somebody's held accountable. And that's why I am one of the co-founders of Until Freedom. So that was my goal there. When I sat back, I came through different organizations, started out in Harry Belafonte's organization, the Gathering for Justice, which morphed into a more rapid response organization called the Justice League, in which, we decided we were immediate response to everything that was going on. We called rallies, we called marches, we did protests, we did everything. We marched from New York to DC. So that was amazing. That was the major things that we did. And then just saying to myself, we finding a core group of people that I worked with along the way and saying to myself, I think it's time for us to create our own, to really create something that looks like what it is that we envision. We got a part of different organizations that already had their center, they had the vision for it. Right. We fed into somebody else's vision, and they were dope, and they pretty much gave us the knowledge and everything that we got to get to this point. But I said to myself, I feel like the culture where it is now, the mindset, what I represent, where I come from, isn't really represented inside, these organizations. And it's not a bad thing. It's just that I feel like it was time for something new.
Right, so, and you bring something unique and new to the table.
Yeah, so
right. So it's not so much either or; it's in addition to.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what you do. We supposed to stand on the shoulders of our elders. We take what they've given us, and we take it to the next level. We can't just stay there in that same place. So that's what we wanted to do with Until Freedom, and so that's how that was created. Kings Stop Killing Kings was Raising Kings was an initiative, just being a father. My oldest son is 23 years old. How
many sons you got?
I have 3 sons. I have a 23-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And that was the initiative, just understanding that we're raising kings, literally, and making them identify themselves as kings, making them see themselves as valuable. A lot of times, especially the narrative that we see in society, it doesn't make us show us as our true selves. It doesn't make us feel like we're powerful, like we can accomplish anything. And I wanted to reinforce that in not only my kids, but all of the kids, especially young Black and brown kids in our communities, because we a lot of times we don't see ourselves outside of the trap, as you said, because we've been taught that's the only way to success. Like I tell people all the time, my first vision of a success was a drug deal. He had everything I wanted. He had the cars I wanted, the girls I wanted, the clothes I wanted, the respect I wanted. He did all things. That was the first vision I didn't live next door to a lawyer, a doctor, a business owner. I never seen any of that. So my first aspiration was to try to emulate that. So I said to myself, why can't we be doing something that's positive, that's legal, and have that same effect on our communities? So that's what Raising Kings was. That initiative was just retraining the narrative and giving these young boys a real rite to passage, what manhood really looks like. We've been, in this society, we've been defined by what we have, what we don't have, what we look like, what we possess. And I wanted our young men to realize that's not what makes you a man. It's the things that's in you, not what's on you, that makes you a man. So that's what Raising Kings was. What
is it in you as a man that makes you a man? What in you?
For me, I think it's integrity. I think it's moral compass. I think it's character. I think it's certain things about you that allows you to shine without trying to. I think when your character speaks for itself, when you're a man of good nature and good heart and want to do the right things and carry yourself with a level of honor and integrity, I think that's what manhood is. I think everything else follows that. When you, even in the hood, when you in the hood, the first thing they recognize is the strength that you have, right? And then people do is they utilize it for something else. They recognize all the skill sets. They recognize all of those things. Even the honor that you have is celebrated. Even in the biggest criminal, his honor is celebrated, right? So what we realize is most of these quote unquote criminals and drug dealers or whatever, when they're given a different opportunity to shine and they have another alternative, they do that. Yourself is an example of that.
Right.
You utilize the skill. You had to be in the street and you played the game in the street, but that's not where you morally was. None of us want to be in the streets hustling. None of us want to run from police and put our lives in jeopardy. So I always say that you find someone in the street that has a level of respect, and he usually has a level of honor that if you give him a different alternative and you show him something different, then it can be utilized for something different. Even when you talk about the shooters in the street, we celebrate the shooters in the army.
They shoot us for real.
They shoot us for real.
Snipers.
They get Purple Hearts. They get all those things. So if you redirect that same energy to something else, it's going to be, these are the generals that are in the army, right? So if we put these young kids in those same predicaments, the level of respect and honor that they have will flourish in a different manner. So that's what I did with Raising Kings, and then I started the initiative off of that, Kings Stop Killing Kings, just based on what happened to Nipsey Hussle. When I seen, he was somebody that I respected.
Yeah, rest in power.
He was somebody that I really respected, and we built, and we was saying we was going to do a lot of things together. We never actually got to do it, but just the way they carried themselves just remind me of the same moral compass that I have. We was on the same wavelength. It's very rarely that you find people that have that wavelength that don't have no problem going against the status quo. and saying, nah, that's not what it is. We gonna do it this way. And we gonna redefine it, and we still cool, and we still G, and we all of that, but we ain't gonna celebrate it this way. We're gonna do it this way. I'm gonna show you how to do something different. It's very rare, especially from our culture, that you see people that have that type of energy. And that's the energy that I've always been on, not trying to follow the crowd and trying to redefine things and do things that go with that make me feel morally comfortable, that I can sleep at night.
Right.
You know, so I created that initiative, and it's just about building and just us saying to ourselves that I can't kill you. No, I don't want to. I can't, because you're my brother. I'm not here to hurt my brother. I want to build. I understand you dealing with the same trauma and pains that I've been dealing with my whole life. So You're not my op. We all family. So when we start to train the mind, when you see somebody as your brother, you can't kill him. When you really vision and say, yo, this is another me. This is the second version of me. This is a whole nother version of me. Even if we don't agree, I don't want to take your life from you.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's the mind state I wanted to do with King Stop Killing Kings. And then now the new initiative, Boycotting Black Murder, is just elevating that. Like now it's not even King Stop, we're boycotting. We're not even allowing it. In our communities, it's celebrated and is incentivized for us to kill each other. We're not allowing that no more. Anybody who celebrates that and incentivizes that is the op. That's the op. You know what I'm saying? Gangster is when you can stop somebody from shooting somebody. Anybody, any coward with a gun and anything can shoot somebody. But when you gangster and you have real respect, you can walk up to somebody and say, bro, that's not what we doing here. And they respect you enough that even at that rage and anger, that they're gonna say, you know what, out of respect for that man, I'm not gonna do that. And then it starts to trickle down out of respect for myself. And then we start to retrain the narrative.